Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm Julie Mannion, and I'm here with Kate Zaharik, who's a consultant teacher. Do you want to explain what a consultant teacher is?
Sure. In our district, consultant teacher is an instructional coach, and we are assigned to new teachers, either new to the district or new to the profession, in years 1 through 4 before they receive tenure.
So I read this article called Teacher Burnout or Demoralization, What's the Difference and Why It Matters by Tim Walker. And one of the big points that they talk about is that burnout isn't really an accurate term for why people are leaving the profession. But I know that part of what we've talked about in the past before is there's a big problem with people leaving the profession, and even within our district, that we can't find enough teachers, right?
Right.
So this author, Tim Walker, I forgot his name, he says that really it's more that teachers aren't really burned out, but they're demoralized between high stakes testing, standardization of standards and curriculum, and the stripping of teacher autonomy, and that what Santoro, an associate professor of education, calls the moral rewards of teaching, those things are no longer there. So I thought that was kind of an interesting take on it. And also the other thing that I thought was interesting, that burnout, the term burnout makes it like there's something wrong with the individual.
Have a good weekend, ladies.
Thank you. And not the, more something wrong with the individual and not the profession.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really that they're just demoralized to work, and the profession hasn't changed. Or I'm sorry, I read that wrong. So the example they gave, the teacher's not burned out, but she can't teach the way that she's supposed to be teaching. So the profession had changed. This wasn't burnout, this was demoralization. So I don't know, what do you think about that? Do you agree that it's more burnout or demoralization?
I agree. I really like the perspective of the fact that burnout makes it feel shameful, almost like it's a blame. I'm blaming that specific teacher who's burned out. Well, it's you. It's all about you, rather than being about the construct that the teacher's trying to work in. I recently read a book called Teacher Voice by Russell Quaglio, and he really talks about teachers' inability to be a teaching role. There are all these other things that they have to worry about, but they have no control over them, so they don't have voice within their system. So it sounds like this article agrees that when teachers don't have a voice within their system, they're just knocked down, and it's not about them and their lack of skills, it's them floundering in their system, their constructs, what's going on around them.
I read in another article, I don't remember where, but that one of the biggest reasons that teachers leave the profession is because they don't have choices. Everything is this curriculum standardized. They have to be teaching the same thing at the same time every day. It's the same as everybody else, and they're not really able to bring in their own interests and what they enjoy learning and what they think will benefit the kids.
Definitely.
So I think that is interesting, and also just that it's a big problem that there is such a large number of people leaving the profession. Let's see what else.
We're not starting our profession. We're actually finding there's a hiring loss because kids aren't going into college to become teachers. So they're not even starting the profession because they've been demoralized so much.
That's scary.
It's
That's
horrifying.
Scary for our future. Wow. Since with burnout, there's nothing left, no possibility for regeneration. I can't read today. And if you're demoralized, however, you're not done. And I think that's the case with a lot of teachers that I've talked with that, luckily the ones I know haven't left, but I think they're just feeling, that they can't really do their job. And the big point of this article is the transformation, and this goes along with what you were saying about the book. What happens when the teachers can reframe what they're experiencing, and it can be liberating and empowering, and to really focus on what they can do rather than what they can't do. So focusing on the individual, and that the problem is, the term burnout focuses on the individual, and that it's not systematic or policy-based, but really it is. And that's where teachers, they really do need to have the voice, and really talk about, what they can do. I think one, to fight kind of for what they believe in, but also, stay in the profession because we need those people to stay there.
Definitely.
So, and this was the book Demoralized, is where they, by Doris Santoro, where she talks about why teachers leave the profession.
Interesting. Is there anything in the article about a solution they suggest other than offering teachers their voice back and making them solution oriented?
Not a lot in this article. Just needing the reforms. Let's see. Teachers, as traveling across the states, teachers learned, or teachers are struggling with the same things, such as student learning objectives. They talked about profound administrative confusion, and the amount of time they put into it, and the frustration that grew out of being told, no, they were doing it wrong, here's what we meant. Another piece is technology. Just record keeping and everything is so data heavy, which we know data helps student success, but if it's just constantly inputting data in computer systems for no reason, that's not helpful. So it doesn't really, give any huge things. We need policy shifts, which I think the problem is, how do we get the policy shifts? It says some of the steps we can take to have a series of conversations with teachers. Start with talking about what good work looks like. What do you need to engage in good work? What's preventing you, and what we can change right now to move us a little closer. And having school leaders who are willing to have these types of conversations, I think that's a huge part, is the administration, and just being willing, to have change. Or sometimes even, I feel like maybe even working backwards. I think sometimes, when I was in school, I feel like teachers had a much more greater control of their classrooms and what kids really need, and it wasn't so streamlined and centered on, okay, did you teach this lesson today? We're supposed to be on this lesson tomorrow. And just think about good work over and over and not following policy. Mm-hmm. So I'll say flexibility is key, and real change isn't going to happen in 40-minute faculty meetings. So it's deep work, and it's a lot of it is how leaders can be sources of teacher remoralization, including unions, which we're lucky to have here. I know in my past school district I didn't have one, so there was really no one backing me up, so I couldn't take a stand on anything, because I felt like my job was in jeopardy. Let's see, and just kind of think, here's what our students deserve, this is what we're going to stand up for, and just kind of thinking of our job as being a professional and what we need to do best, and involving educators to find solutions. So it sounds like they don't really have all the answers, just trying to create change, but I think that can be harder than it sounds.
Right. So being in a culture and a climate and a system that favors teacher voice and teacher leadership, and that they have a right to be at the table. It's that labor management relationship to make choices, for them to feel empowered enough to make the best decisions for their kids. And isn't that what kids want to?
Yeah, I think so. Sense. I mean, I think that's where, kids get excited about school, is when it matters to them, and not, when it's made by these people sitting in an office who've not been in the classroom. They want to, they want the fun and engaging. They want the teacher, to be full of energy and not just like a robot. And if that's what we want teachers to be, we could just hire robots, and that's not very engaging.
Throw them all on technology, right?
Yeah. So and even sometimes I think, unfortunately, maybe with so much of the computer programs and electronic textbooks, we're maybe going too far in that direction, and getting rid of the attributes that teachers bring to the classroom,
right,
and their why people went into teaching, and just trying to inspire kids.
So really, demoralization is a lack of professional trust rather than teacher efficacy and craftsmanship.
I think I completely agree with that. I think that's especially in my previous job, that was the biggest thing. I felt like I was never treated as a professional. Somebody, wanted me to go above and beyond and do all this work, but also, wanted to micromanage me. And know exactly what I was doing, and a lot of times the data I had to keep track of wasn't for the benefit of student learning or, guiding my instruction, as it was just for administration to keep tabs on what I was actually doing and for them to be able to justify whether I was doing my job or not. And unfortunately, along with that was, I felt like my success or failure was all dependent upon test scores. When I was teaching fourth grade, it was, how well did kids do on the test? Mm-hmm. And it didn't matter if the kid had been absent half the quarter or not, but it was how well did they do and what did I do or not do to make this kid succeed. So I think that is challenging, and I think, my current job, I think that's one of the benefits of having a union is that it's, it's not necessarily teacher pinned against teacher as it was in the climate of my old district, where teachers are banding together and saying, what can we do to really help kids?
Right. We're an educational association.
Yeah.
That works together for kids.
Yeah, and I think that makes a huge difference. And I think we need ways to reinvigorate teachers and really kind of, have them want to teach, because I think, even if they're not to the point of burnout, I think they're not too far away. Right. I think, the pressures being put upon them to reach, so many standards, especially elementary level teachers, where they're teaching 4 or 5 subjects a day and have standards to meet in every subject and have engaging lessons to plan with very minimal planning time, and planning time being taken away for various reasons, and just so much being asked of teachers, and to stay for extracurricular activities, and to do everything in their own time. I think it is demoralizing. Mm-hmm. Teachers can't be themselves because they don't have that break from school.
Right.
So in one of the other books I just read as well, talked a lot about making sure that you make school separate from your life, and make sure you do hobbies that really make you a whole person. And I think as my mom passed away a few years ago, and that was one of the things reflecting on that. I thought spending all my time at school and spending hours after school planning lessons wasn't really making me a better teacher, because I wasn't becoming a better, well-rounded person. Right. It was just putting me into the situation of, I thought the more time I spent, the better my lessons would be, but really it was draining me of my passion and energy, and kids see that. Mm-hmm. So I think just really, I try to really leave when the school day's done and try to structure my time to be more efficient to get things done during the day.
And we should be promoting that with all of our peers instead of saying you are burnt out.
Yeah, I agree. And like the program we attended on a Saturday, what was that? The
Self-Care Saturday.
Self-Care Saturday, yeah, that was awesome. How we got to do the yoga and the drum circles and just really perpetuate some good self-care strategies. That I think that's something that would be great brought into a bigger scale.
And what's great is that was administrator led.
Yeah, that's true.
That was her initiative, even though we're not part of that district. Mm-hmm. She opened it up to any teachers in her district that needed that sort of depressurization, that self-care.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I think that would be something great to go to again, and just kind of at least, gave me some more tools to put in my toolbox,
right?
That I didn't have before. So I think that is really good.